Would you make her read if it was between like?
Oh, stop it!
Well,
stop.
I would make her give an A and a B, and then like maybe take one wild.
And then we'd edit the two, and then we'd be like, "Can you do it like you're falling out of a plane, and then you hit a wall, and then you get frozen on the way down?"
Yeah,
Go. Give me 3 takes. Go. This episode is brought to you by Skills Hub. Whether you're a complete beginner or a seasoned professional, Skills Hub has everything you need to kickstart and advance your voice acting career. We love Skills Hub. Cannot recommend it enough. With personalized plans designed to fit your goals and aspirations, you can confidently navigate your journey in the world of voiceover. Learn which avenues best suit your unique skills and discover different ways to monetize your voice talents. From commercials to video games to audiobooks to animation, sky's the limit. Practice and refine your craft with expert-designed tools such as character development, accent mastery, or script interpretation. Connect directly with more than 80 vetted coaches who are top industry pros, casting directors, voice directors, and working actors to receive valuable feedback and guidance. Skills Hub is more than just a platform. It's a thriving community of voice actors, and with per-minute billing, you're in control of how much you spend. Track your progress, communicate with coaches, connect with the community, and stay motivated. Don't wait any longer to advance your voice acting career. Visit skillshub.life/character-select today to pick your path and get 20% off your first 3 months. Skills Hub. Come for the access. Stay for the community. Welcome to the Character Select podcast. That was my attempt at an announcery voice, and this is why I don't do that kind of voiceover.
You're cast.
I mean, it's like in a world. I feel like if only I were like Belle, I could pull that off, but I can't do it. Welcome to the Character Select podcast. I am one of your hosts, Anjali Bhimani.
And I'm Julia Bianco Schoeffling.
Our second host, our additional host, our partner host. I don't know how to say it.
Co-host.
Co-host, thank you. Co-host is really the English way. You guys were off to a rollicking start today. I haven't had enough coffee. If you are not watching this on the YouTube, you can't see that I still haven't finished drinking this. But welcome. We are so excited, so excited to have one of our best friends on the show today. This is someone who has had an extraordinary ride of their own creation. Please make it well noted that this is not something that just happened by happenstance. This is a person who really worked hard to make so many incredible things happen, and we can't wait to continue bragging about them for this whole podcast. So, welcome to our beloved Erika Ishii.
Hi, Erika.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, don't cry yet, because we're gonna gush about you in this very fancy bio where we get to talk about how awesome you are.
It's not over?
No, it's not even. It has just begun. This is just the tippity tip iceberg. Tip of the iceberg of all of the things that Erika has done. So, for most people, they would have considered their career perfectly impressive with just a guest appearance on the legendary family sitcom Full House. But no, not Erika Ishii. A 1992 guest appearance on one of the biggest sitcoms of all time was just the beginning for them. If the goal was to grow up and become an absolute powerhouse across several media, then they absolutely succeeded. As a voiceover artist, they can be heard as Amanda in Dream Daddy, a dad dating sim, which I just need to take a moment to acknowledge how dope that is. And also shout out to Aaron Hansen and the Game Grumps, because we love them. Ruth Jang in Cyberpunk 2077, Anna Bray in Destiny 2, Valkyrie in Apex Legends, shout out to Rampart's best friend, and Wenji Evans in Deathloop. When they aren't voicing an array of badass video games characters, they're lending their nerdiness and comedic timing to College Humor's game show, Game Changer, the Vampire the Masquerade live play web show, LA by Night, and every D&D show that comes up first in a Google search. Dimension 20, Critical Role, The Adventure Zone, you name it, she's on it. She is also a founding member of the incredible Worlds Beyond number, along with Brennan Lee Mulligan and Abria Iyengar and Lou Wilson, which defies definition. It is a... Oh gosh! What did we decide to call it earlier? It is
Magic?
It's magic. It's absolute magic. You should listen to it. To call it a podcast would be like just sad. It's not true. It's more than a podcast. Go listen to it after you finish listening to this one. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of things. Not to mention that they are a fantastic human who is certainly responsible for some of my favorite moments of the last 5 years. So thank you for that.
And an excellent friend.
Yes.
You guys, I feel like I've been ambushed. I was here to be on a podcast to talk about a video game that I liked, and I just was blindsided here.
Take our love.
Okay.
You must take our love.
Compliment. Also, it's like, especially, it was this moment of being introduced that reminded me, Anjali, do you remember where we first met?
No, that's a great
I mean,
way to
I
start.
do remember attacking you outside of Romancing the Bean because of a post that you made that I loved so much, and telling you thank you so much for your honesty and your vulnerability, and if there's ever anything that I can do to support
I
that.
do remember.
See?
Yeah.
See?
No, we met because I was interviewing you on my Geek and Sundry video game show.
No, that is very true. That is
Back
very,
in the
very
day.
true.
And our friend Darren DePaul introduced us.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, you'll love Anjali. She should be on your show. And like, wow. And Anjali showed up and I was like, we're gonna wear kigurumis today. Do you wanna? And then she had a chipmunk kigurumi and she wore her like
I wore my
thigh-high boots.
because why would
on
you
them,
not?
yeah.
Why would you not wear high heels
And
with a
here
kigurumi?
we are.
Here we are.
I think Darren introduced us too.
He absolutely did.
Darren DePaul,
Darren DePaul,
like
one of the finest
the
human
man
beings.
behind the curtain.
Yes.
The New Yorker behind the curtain.
Yeah.
What
Yes,
the heck?
I know. I know. Once again, shout out to another one of our incredible friends, Darren DePaul, the man of a million voices and character sounds, and one of the biggest hearts you will ever see and experience in a human being.
Yeah.
So it's a big old love fest here. That's how we start this, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. And just for the record, not everyone gets this kind of like this is like a thing. Like this is this is we love you.
I'm so happy to be here with you too. This is so cool too.
Yeah. So before we get into the second half that you were talking about, we just want to let the folks at home know, and also I want to know, how did this crazy, incredible, varied trajectory of a career start for you? Because it seems very much of your design, but also of like lightning in a bottle had to happen so many times, but obviously something that you intentionally created.
Pretty sure lightning in a bottle happened when this one was born.
Well, that's a given. That's a given. That was lightning in a bottle number one. Okay.
Yes.
So, but yeah, tell us how this all started for you. The whole were you a gamer as a kid? Were you, okay.
Like all of those things. It's been this fascinating juxtaposition of my training as a kid, because as you said, Full House. My parents were below the line in the industry, which is to say they were like an editor and a camera assistant. And so when I came out with crackling with energy, they thought, oh, maybe she'd enjoy acting, and so they put me out there for auditions, and I fully booked half of whatever I auditioned for as a kid, because I just was so outgoing and personable, and I had a cute little bowl cut. And I just, it was a combination of that sort of training and then my passions, because, I've been playing video games since forever. I've loved cartoons. I started playing D&D in high school, like when I was 14, I want to say. And so it was just this odd combination of those things, and something that also the two of you, I'm like, that I admire about the two of you and that I know you can relate to, is of having a passion and having the art of it all, but then also being a business person. Because cannot stress enough how every voice actor says, oh yes, like take acting classes. It is about the craft. It's not just about sort of, making funny voices. Yeah, like yes, the craft, yes, but also, in capitalism, we got to market ourselves,
It's a business,
It's a
yeah.
business.
You're
And
an
so like
entrepreneur.
truly most of my job, like being in the booth or at the table or on set, is a fraction, like a tiniest sliver of a fraction of what my job actually is. And my job is failing at auditions. Like imagine having a job that was mostly job interviews. And it's that and writing emails and social media work and editing content and sort of decide like scheduling. Scheduling. Like one day a week is completely devoted to scheduling with, the shared calendars, with my team and the color coding. And I put all the locations and notes in there and everything. It's just so much about it is, and that's something they really don't teach at,
a lot of
because I was at Strasbourg and UCB
Acting
school, and they're about like the honing your craft, and that is obviously useful. Like you got to show up with
the goods.
but also like you can't show up like there's no way in unless you are doing the hustle. And I think it's been truly equal parts of both of those. I think, and I just got lucky that the things that I enjoyed so much, like I was definitely willing to hustle for and had other, because like I met, the gang that most of the people that I do voiceover and tabletop with, I met through sort of like UCB classes or through sort of the convention scene. And like we went to the same parties and like I felt like I got tossed in the deep end because everybody else was kind of like 5 to 10 years ahead of me in their careers, and I sort of like joined later, I have to bite my tongue on this one because I'm not going to bite my tongue because it'll bleed by the time I'm done because I'll be biting it That's
so
how you
hard.
makes your money.
I know, but you. I remember the first time we actually hung out. We had tea, and I remember you
brought your own
coming from that
stevia?
same place. I did. I always
She
do
still
because
does.
I am 9,000 years old and I carry stevia with me. So there. But I remember you coming from that same place, and while I do always love your humility, I think you came in with a level of expertise and know-how and a work ethic. And that right there, going back to what we were talking about treating it like a business, it's the work ethic that I think often slows people down and not recognizing. Like you were thrown in the deep end, but you already knew how to swim.
Yes.
And it was, when we hung out, it was very clear to me, I was like, well, as like, duh, of course she's going to be famous. Like this is a duh moment. And I was just excited to see what you were going to do next. So it's really just been consistent vindication on my part to be like, yeah.
I thank you. I thank you.
Accepted.
Accepted and onboarded.
And yet I know from both of our conversations how hard that is for both of us.
It's
so
true.
thank you.
It's
Thank you so
true.
much. I appreciate it.
But yeah, I think it's been wonderful that all the people that I enjoy hanging out with are people that I want to work with.
Yeah.
And that it's just like easy because it's hard to say which comes first because we have, and same with Julia, when we first met, we were just like, we had a lunch that lasted hours and it was, a little bit about business, but mostly just about our lives and our outlooks and
That right there, I know this is a little bit of a segue for this podcast, but I think it's important to talk about. I think a lot of people say the word networking with a bitter taste in their mouth, and they don't realize that it's about making real relationships because you do. I know for me, like the only chance I get to see my friends 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10 is if I'm working with them. Yeah. So I'm going to be working with people I want to be working with as much as physically possible. And in order to do that, you need to build really great relationships with genuine relationships. Yes, it is about who you know. So go know people and know really, like, meet really cool people. And most of the most talented people I know are also the most open to having that kind of conversation like you were talking about.
It's just good humans.
Yes.
It's good humaning. I just taught a class last night about networking to a bunch of actors and how to do it without being too aggressive, and especially with buyers and whatnot. And really, like, at the end of the day, it's like the long game. It's about being in human relationships and knowing that on the other side of that directing chair or casting chair or whatever, it's a job, it's a human, it's someone that's going back home to their lives and all the stuff that is happening in the world right now. It's remembering that everybody's like a human on the other end, and not having like objectives. Like, you can know why you want to know someone, but not having an objective out of the conversation other than getting to know someone.
Agenda,
Yeah, you can
honestly,
feel that.
It's kind of like dating.
It is.
Oh, it's entirely like dating.
In that, like, you want to meet people and you want to make a connection without being like, but I have an ulterior motive. There's something I want from you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, I mean, and that's the thing. I also realize too, there's a definite, like, I am trying to be, I am getting a lot better at separating professional from personal, I think. And that goes positively too. I mean, like, in that I think, when I'm doing my business, we do it with friends, but also we have to treat them and sort of like act in a specific way that it's like, this is business Erika, and then at home Erika, and because we're so public, on a certain level we have a persona that is like very curated and like not who we are every day, and that's true for everybody, but like being very intentional about that, and then versus like who I want to spend time with as like my full self, and like who I can, and like how those two interact is a constant give and take, I feel like, for all of us.
Sure. And especially
I'm like, that's your keynote.
We've talked about this a lot, because I often do a keynote called Staying Human, Being an Artist in the Age of Technology, and one of the things I talk about is how do you maintain those personal and important relationships with people without giving your entire self away, and what do you keep entirely for yourself or entirely for your family? And it's not a secret. It's private, and it's a very big difference between the two. Keeping a secret feels kind of gross. Being private feels like I am taking control, I am taking ownership, and I am saving certain things for myself because I care about myself, saving things for my family because I care about my family.
Yeah.
Not to exclude people. And living in that personal space, you are a master of this. This is why you have such an incredible, rabid fan base, is that you are a master of being able to be personal. Dancing that line of being able to be very personal with people, but also maintaining that line of what's yours.
It's been an interesting thing because, I came up in Twitch, which is like the ultimate sort of really easy to make parasocial relationships. And for those of you who aren't familiar, parasocial relationships are you feeling like you have an interpersonal relationship with somebody when you don't. And it was because there was a time where it was like, we are at the whims of the audience and stuff, and like what they say goes, and we are only here by their grace. And now it's like, well, we are very grateful, and like truly the things that I do wouldn't really be, I mean, I'd still do them for me even if I didn't have people that were watching, but like also understanding like, well, yeah, this is what I choose to put out into the world, and I'm very grateful that you appreciate that and enjoy that, but you're not entitled to that, and I just really appreciate that I've been able to grow and change and be my truest self in the public eye, and in a way that I feel like people are most like 99.9% of the time incredibly respectful about, it's and I know that, I mean, I feel like the issue that I see most often in our friends is the giving too much of themselves, or feeling the pressure to do so. And it's like, we are incredibly grateful, and the praise online is as sort of like gets into your head as much as the, the negativity, you know? It's and while I appreciate it, it's like, well, I need to, like, for my sanity, I need to concentrate on the people and the things that I can give a certain amount of my energy to, because I have a lot of energy. I
don't buy it. You guys can't tell, right? You can tell she's very mellow.
But, like, it's, you know, it is still finite, and it's like the kind and the quality that I want to.
Well, and your work takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So that's like all outside of the job that actually takes you being vulnerable and in touch with so many parts of you. So
and your work in particular, going back to this incredibly diversely curated career, so much of what you have done has been like the one of one, like the first of its kind. You know, Worlds Beyond Number is, I mean, it's extraordinary, and the amount of creative energy that you guys had to put into that has to have been extraordinary. And you have to, how do you refill your well when you are navigating the waters of, yes, I have to be my online presence, but I also need to create, and I also need to have a life?
It's funny because we were talking about how just like, the personal and the private, like they can totally be separate. And I like that of it's like, it's not secret, it's private, you know? I think, well, number one, we always say this on the podcast, we realize that, the hard part isn't actually when we're sitting at the table doing the podcast together. Like, that's the joy, and that's like replenishing. And that at the end of that, like, we like bust out of the room, like screaming. But it's the stuff, you know, around it that's like the difficult part. So like actually doing the thing, when you sit down, you're like, oh yeah, that's what all those early Zoom meetings were for, right?
We've been talking about it.
That's the easy part. Like the work itself, like the craft itself is the easy part. Like, I mean, there's a lot of skills and stuff that, but again, that's outside of the thing, right? Like all the classes or the practices and the whatever, like that all goes into the doing the art. And like, I've found that anything that lets me hit flow which is sort of like the woo word for like just really being in the moment and like everything disappearing except for that thing. So like anything, like whether it is you know, a good conversation, just like a really good conversation, or my work, or playing music, or dancing to music, or just like truly anything where it's like, I have to be right here in this moment doing this. Like I do matcha every morning, you know, with like the hand whisk and everything. And I really like do not have hands to be on my phone at that moment. So it's like just a thing where I'm like, nothing exists except for me and this thing, or me and this person or people. And it's like, I love that. And so having some of those that I like don't have to worry about like sharing with anybody. Because like, you know, with your work, like as much as you sort of disappear into it, like I always see the green exit sign, and I'm always like, I can always like yank myself out.
If you don't, like, I was talking about this with someone the other day. Like, we're actors, we're not beers. We have to we have to still be ourselves while we are also playing a role. We're not like completely. I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in completely losing myself in a way that I can't see, you know, the world around me.
No, that's like true ego death is like not.
I mean, that's something
really,
for psychedelics. That's not something for like acting.
Next season.
That's exactly
right. It's like that's not necessarily a thing I aspire to. Or you should, because like also, it's not like unless you're doing like a one-person show in the privacy of your home, like there are other people that need to interact with you
and the audience,
and the
people who
audience
you're sharing it
too, with. and like. You gotta have a certain amount of consideration. I think that like the whole sort of myth of the sort of like singular auteur who does whatever is necessary to like really nail it is like, you know, as Sir Laurence Olivier said, like, my dear boy, have you tried acting? You know, I think it's. It's much more enjoyable when you're like have a foot still on the outside, and you're like, cool. Like, this is a cool interplay of everything. It's always, again, it's the juxtaposition and tensions between all the disparate parts of things that I think really is fun and exciting and interesting to me.
Is there a project or a moment that, or many, I'm sure there are many because I don't believe in one big break, but if there was only one big break, then God help us when we have it, and then what is the rest of our life? There are so many things that we do that stand out. Is there anything in particular that stands out for you, though, as the first time you felt, oh, this is tipping into like the train has left the station. Things are going to be rolling. Things are going to be. I got to keep up, and you know what I mean. Like,
I think, as you said, there's multiple times where I can see where it's like Dream Daddy was my first sort of big thing, and and that was just because like a year prior to that, I was at the launch party for another friend's indie game, and a friend on the development team was telling me about the game, and I was like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. Like, if you need someone to stream it or whatever, like, I'm so excited to play this game. And then a year later, I got a text like, hey, do you want to be a voice in our game? And I was like, yeah. So that was kind of the first sort of like major thing. And then I think it was probably my first AAA was Destiny 2, and that happened while I had gotten dumped like 2 weeks before, and like I was a nervous wreck. Somebody had to coach me through breathing exercises to like send in the callback, but we did it. And then it got announced like March 10th, 2020, which is, as you may remember, 3 days before lockdown in LA happened. But then I think by the time, like, the thing that really did truly push everything over the edge was Valkyrie and Apex Legends, because that was a 9-month or longer process for me. I don't know how long your audition process was.
Mine was
like.
a little bit audition process or the recording process?
Audition.
Normal. I mean, it was pretty compressed, I think, if I
Mine
remember
was like
correctly.
9 months, and I auditioned like 3 separate times. Wow. Like from different, like because it was just like they were like not quite sure what they wanted and stuff. And the kicker of it is that, like, I had so many friends in the game and on the development team and in charge of the decision-making process, and they were like, no, we just want to make sure we get the best actor for the job. We don't know if it's Erika.
Well, so, I suspect.
I was like, I appreciated that.
I don't want to speak for anyone. The views and opinions stated on this podcast are our own.
Right.
But I suspect it's because so many of them knew you and loved you and knew how awesome you were, and they didn't want to be
accused of nepotism.
Not even accused of not even accused of it, but they wanted to make sure that they were doing the right thing. And the good news is, when you show up, you bring it. So they were doing the right thing.
I think it was that. I think it's they wanted to make sure that they were not being like biased and everything. And I think like some of the people who, you know, like I was closest with, like recused themselves from decision time and everything. But it was such a long process, and it was all like while I was in quarantine, and it was just like I had nothing to do except sit and make playlists about this and like characters and stuff. And I was like, my rule is I never make a playlist until I actually book the part and everything. Because
that's a great, cool thing, though.
Because I get like attached. But for this one, I was like, oh my God, it's like, oh my. And so booking it wasn't just the fact that it was a huge role or that like people I admired were on the project or like, and that I just like, I loved the game. I was playing it weekly, like with a friend, but also just because I was like, oh man, like I really proved myself. I don't have to prove myself to anyone like that, like at that level, like I don't have to, more importantly, I didn't have to prove myself to myself like that. Because I was like, there's no way I can like explain this away. Nope. You know, the other ones where it's like, well, you know, I have friends, or well, you know,
Isn't it crazy how we do that too? How we're like, oh, I just got the part because I fit the costume. Like, really? Because there's nothing called alterations in the world.
If you ever feel that way, just call me. And
She's
I'll
very
tell
good.
You.
She's
I'll
very good at
remind
this.
you why.
Yes. And I'm extra glad that you got to play Valkyrie, so we can be besties.
I know, that was so.
It was
fun.
so much fun, and you do such an extraordinary job. I mean, I feel like that's a performance that we could break down on this show very easily because it's so nuanced and it's such an important part of the story behind Apex Legends and Titanfall and all of that stuff. There's so much to it. There's so much based in the identity of that character. There's so much in the history, and you just came in and you were Valkyrie. You were Valk. So, and I'm sorry that I named my gun after your ex-girlfriend.
That's an incredible. It's an incredible piece.
It's so
I feel
fun.
like Tom Casiello, who did a lot of the writing on it, like I think that was probably a Tom thing.
I guess yes.
That's such like a bestie thing to do. I really love that.
Yeah. Speaking of performances in games, you have chosen a very, very, very cool choice. I was going to try to think of I needed my internal thesaurus broke. But I love I love that this is the choice of the day to discuss. So once again, here comes the magical piece of paper with lots of words on it, and I won't speak like this. I promise. All right.
Did you make her read it all the time?
I do make it. Okay. I make her read. She made me read it last time because of the Symmetra thing. She didn't want to read about it specifically.
Well, I'm going to talk about a part that I play.
I love it. Yeah, no, I would refuse.
But would you make her read if it was between like...
Oh, stop it.
Well,
stop.
I would make her give an A and a B and then like maybe take a while to
and then we'd edit the two and then we'd be like, can you do it like you're falling out of a plane and then you hit a wall and then you get frozen on the way down?
Yeah,
go. Give me 3 takes. Go. Yes. All right. So when Gabe Newell, president of a video game developer and publisher Valve, saw the puzzle game Narbacular Drop at a career fair at the DigiPen Institute of Technology, he offered everyone involved with its development a job at Valve. His newly acquired team soon began working on a new title with the same mechanics as the game that had saved them months of searching for work in the job market, solving puzzles with portals. Ding, 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 foreshadowing. In October of 2007, Portal released to widespread acclaim from gamers and gaming outlets. It currently has a Metascore of 90 out of 100 based on 27 critical reviews and an 8.9 user score based on over 4,500 reviews. In addition, to add that it has phrases like, the cake is a lie. Well, the cake is not a lie because she's actually here. So the cake exists. We got the cake.
Cake right here.
Yeah, I got your cake right here. To the gaming culture's vernacular. Portal also gave fame to some of its most unlikely elements: Black Forest cake, weighted cubes, and a sassy, self-aware computer system called GLaDOS, voiced by voice actress and accomplished opera singer Ellen McLean. The character GLaDOS was created to be a guide to the player, but with her combination of wit, sarcasm, dark humor, and tragic background, she became a gaming icon in her own right. She has appeared officially and unofficially in songs, car insurance commercials, and games outside of the Portal universe. Many of those appearances have been voiced by McLean. McLean was originally brought in by Valve to voice the turrets, but was offered the part of their main antagonist after impressing them with her unique vocal inflections and her extensive background in opera singing. McLean has won several awards for her work as GLaDOS, including a 2011 Spike Video Game Award for Best Performance by a Human Female. I love that they have to acknowledge that she is a human female. And an AIAS Interactive Achievement Award for Outstanding Achievement in Character Performance. Incidentally, GLaDOS stands for Genetic Lifeform and Disk Operating System. Kind of dig that. So this is the portal. This is the performance that you chose to break down for us. Tell us. It's just, there are so many reasons this is an extraordinary performance. Go.
Okay, so I will say that the game Portal changed my brain. Truly, it came out at a time where it was so interesting and experimental in terms of it starts out as a straightforward puzzle game, right? And then it gets you to literally you leave the whole puzzle area and you're escaping from the premise of the game itself, right? And that's what the game becomes. And it's just there wasn't a ton of games that played with genre like that at the time. And it's just the physics was so good, obviously, and it just was such a simple, and the writing was fantastic. I can say so much about what it meant for gaming in general, but also I was extremely online in 2008, in that era, and it was just the memes, that was in the olden days when memes stuck around they had a long legs because you didn't have the turnover that we have now for TikTok or Insta or it was just like you were on the forums or you were at, like, I had friends on like you'rethemannowdog.com if anybody else remembers that site making memes. And so the Cake is a Lie and the songs and the finally the merch and everything around Portal was massive. Like, it consumed my sort of friend group. And I wrote a paper about it in college as well, like about I had a game, like a games and communications class, and I wrote a term paper about like feminism and Portal because it's like all female. Like in Portal 1, there weren't that many at the time female protagonists. Or female antagonists, and there were certainly very, 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 very few that were both. And also all the henchmen were female. Like it was, and so it was just revolutionary in that regard, and about the idea of like problem solving with without a gun. Like a gun is like intensely. And I talk about like it's like very phallic, and destructive. But whereas Portal is like like creation and everything. So I did a whole paper on that. But then I was so like the GLaDOS performance was so good. Like I thought about it so much. I mean, it's just the subtleties and the nuance, and her voice has been like processed. You hear the robot processing, but it's the intonations and the inflections, and then she's a trained opera singer and sang "Still Alive," which again, just was massive online. And I loved that performance so much, and she was written so well in such a interesting, complex way, and she was passive aggressive, and I thought about that performance quite a lot. And when I got a chance to be in Halo, the newest Halo. I played an AI character, and the pitch, because they just were like, what do you want to, we had you in mind for AI, we don't know what we want, what do you think? And I took a look at some of the writing, and I was like, oh, I want to do GLaDOS, but like slightly horny. Like, can I do that? And I think I said thirsty, though, I think probably. But like, they're like, yeah, go for it. So it's like very much informed by GLaDOS of like the sort of Siri, like, but like a little off and a little psychotic. So it was so fun to do. And it was definitely my sort of like love letter to it, because like it's very different than GLaDOS, but still like, just the idea of how do you add personality to something, to like a computer voice, right? And last year at MagFest, which is the music and gaming festival that's held in Baltimore every year, and it's like a bunch of concerts and panels and cosplay, and it's just like a hotel convention that's all about gaming music, which I love. So I brought my like an electric violin with me and like a little mini amp, and my girlfriend and her partner and we all like cosplayed a lot. And one of the days we went as Chell and GLaDOS, and Lyra was GLaDOS, and then the Rat Man from, if you remember, the Rat Man comics that were the ancillary supplement to Portal.
Going deep.
And I was just gonna say
on that like day, because I went just as a fan, because I still sometimes go to, you never know what convention I might show up as, like just as a fan cosplaying, because that's where I come from. And so I was there, but a friend of mine was in charge of panels and was like, do you want to like crash the voice actor panel? And in return, we'll give you like access to the tea room and stuff. And I was like, yeah, good deal. And so I went, and so it was the voice actor panel, and Ellen McLean was there, and because she's a long time attendee there, like a guest of honor there every year. And I was there, and I like showed up like dressed in my Chell outfit, and got to like read with her, and she was like, you were great. Like she was just so complimentary, and I was like, thank you. Your work means a lot to me. But that's been the craziest thing about being, about being like a successful voice actor now is that like people whose work like has informed mine and has inspired me, it just like getting to work with them and hang out with them, and they like talk to me like I'm like not a worm, you know, like
that imposter syndrome.
I know. So it's just like and so Portal was one of the earliest. Like I said, like Last of Us 2 is where I was, or Last of Us 1 was where I was like, all right, I got to get into this voice acting business. But Portal was one of the earlier examples of where I was like, what a complex character. Like, what a, like, just something. And, and you know, if I was a computer, it wouldn't matter that I was Asian American. I wouldn't have to look a certain way or anything like that, you know? And, just what a stellar performance. And, like, the sort of cherry on top of having a whole opera, like the song solo at the end by Jonathan Colton, and so that was a very meaningful one for me. Also, I'd like to say I have gone to the Seattle Bakery in I think Redmond, where the original German Black Forest cake is from. And it looks exactly like it does in the game, and it tastes so good. I was like, I've been waiting for this day for like almost a decade now, and it was everything that I wanted it to be, because apparently there's, it's the Valve offices were near there, and so they would like walk by and they're like, damn, that's a good looking cake. And so I
like that. That's what I love, that they were objectifying the cake. I appreciate that. Damn, that
that cake.
Look at that cake. Juicy. That is a good. That cake. That cake is. That cake
is juicy. Yeah.
Well, you beautiful, beautiful thing. So many things to just love on you about, and one of my favorite things about you is your enthusiasm for life and your enthusiasm for the things you love and how you carry that into everything. And it's one of the many things that made you such a perfect guest that we desperately wanted on the show, because we wanted to hear about your love for something and your passion and how much it changed your life, and thank you for sharing that.
Well, joke's on you. I got Anj and Julia time, and
joke's on us. What? I'm so surprised.
I didn't even have to create like a whole company about it.
Oh wait, we didn't have to create a whole podcast to hang out with Erika.
No, we could probably like
just made a plan.
We just But this is so much more fun to get to do this as well.
Great, thank you so much.
One of because we are doing this in the great grand soup that is time. One of the things that we do want to share that has just been announced, but maybe will be a long time. We don't know when this is coming out, is basically what I'm trying to say eloquently and failing. But beautiful Erika was just announced recently.
Yeah, today.
Recently, as being in the new
Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. I'm the exfil pilot, Captain Feng. And I love hanging out with the Treyarch folks.
Did you record at Treyarch?
No, it was at like
it's a studio,
and then but
you know that's where I worked, right?
Yeah, I do.
I feel like there is but also there is nowhere in the gaming industry that you have not already worked.
That's the only dev I've worked.
I feel like
all right.
but I feel like you've worked with everyone.
This is true.
Everyone.
Yes, it is.
I know everyone.
It's not even 6 degrees of Julia. It's like 2 degrees of Julia. Yeah, every single person.
And so, because I was in Call of Duty, Cold War, as an operator, and to get to come back and like work with the same team but on a new thing is just like, it's really great. Now I get it, where it's like, I don't know, all these directors work with the same actors over and over again, and I think it's that way in games just because it's like, just want to hang out with your friends.
Well, and everything, and
also not
shorthand,
exactly
and making you look good and reliable and last minute.
When your friends are exceptionally talented like you, it's very easy to want to like it's win-win. It's win-win-win-win-win.
When I was when I was on Fortnite with Sarah Elmale, one time she was just like, "Can you just?" And I was like, "Got you." And like, then she like nailed it. And she was like, "What was that?"
Yeah, that's some good shorthand.
It's called shorthand.
We like it. We like it very, very much.
We didn't even talk about wildflowers.
Wildflowers! Oh my god! Oh my love! Oh, that's so sweet. Wildflowers is the coziest little farming sim / dating / like, and you're
Witchy
a witch
love,
and
grandmas.
it's queer, yeah. And I play an NB Chinese, Japanese, American, meat eater with a side shave, which is like a big stretch.
I know. I must have been
Thanks to
how did
Julia.
you do the research to play that
Julia
character?
had to.
I put my neck out on the line.
Twist the arm. Of
It
the
wasn't a
developers.
twist. It was just I've never seen character art that looks exactly like someone before. And then the description was Chinese, Japanese.
Yeah.
And NB
And queer.
and queer.
Like,
And I
oh,
was
so
like,
cute.
I have to tell you guys that if we don't, and we might have to cut this out, I don't know. But if you don't do this, like, she could probably sue for likeness.
That's the thing is, it's like I'm never entitled to anything.
Of course not.
But at the same time, when you see that and you're like,
but it's me.
But yeah,
is that? Is this nothing play about us?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it wasn't a twist of an arm on their part. It was more just I was like, I can't actually cast this role. I can't. We have to just do this. And I'm not going to give you 30 people that are going to try and be.
try and be Erika Ishii.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
because
they
no one
listened.
can be.
Great. Oh, they did.
But they
It was
also-
so
yeah,
great to be part of that cast. It was,
Oh, it's such
like,
a good
so cozy, so cozy.
And Kritia Bajos' directing debut.
So great. Oh my God! Really? That was her first? You'd never know it.
Yeah, it's because she was teaching
never
a
know.
ton and she was
Yeah.
ready. It's just that you need
That's
opportunity.
that thing too. Is it's like the vibe and the shorthand of like, yeah, it's just like a delight. It's a delight, and the doing like the actual work is never the hard part.
No, I had a producer of a short of mine put it so succinctly once. He said, I feel like acting is the only job where getting to do the job is the reward.
Yeah.
And
that.
I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it. So so we create work so we can hang out with our friends, and now we are constantly rewarded. Yay!
Maybe a hot dog eating contest. Isn't that the reward? It's the eating.
I don't.
The doing of it, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I'm going to end it there. No.
This is an excellent ending point, I think, as we try to question the value of hot dog eating contests around the world. You guys, thank you so much for listening or for watching if you are on the YouTube. If you enjoy this, please subscribe. Please share it with your friends. Share it with friends who love games. Share it with friends who want to be in the gaming industry, because one of our greatest goals is to share how much of a giant team effort this world is, and that even though actors may be the people that you see in the front, they are one cog in a grand wheel that make these performances happen. And we also love so much to enjoy the virtuosity of our friends in the industry. So please, please, please share. Thank you so much, Erika, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Pew, pew, pew. Character Select is recorded at Slap Studios, LA. Executive producers Rick Barrio Dill, Anjali Bhimani, and Julia Bianco Schoeffling. Producer Bree Coorey. Assistant Amanda Mack. Intro animation by Bree Coorey and Larissa Donahoe. And theme song by Rick Barrio Dill. The views and opinions stated on this show are those of the individuals and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their employers or any companies they work with. If you have questions for the show or suggestions for future episodes or guests, send us an email at careselectpod@gmail.com. That's CHAR selectpod@gmail.com. And thanks for listening.